As you guys probably have noticed, ever since they canceled regionals, YCSs, and WCQs, I've talked less and less about modern competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! I love modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Don't get me wrong, but personally my favorite part of the game was traveling to these events to play in them and test with my friends and all of that good stuff, and that's really just not happening right now in the same way that it was a year ago. And trust me, as soon as in-person events are safe to go to again, and as soon as regionals and YCSs and WCQs are back, I'll be at them. But for now, we mostly just have online official and unofficial tournaments, and that's been really exciting to sort of watch the online metagame overall sort of adapt to this new situation, because we have people remote dueling, we have people playing on unofficial simulators. There's all sorts of ways that players can enjoy Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now, and that's really, really cool. In today's video, I want to talk about the Luxury Championship Series, which was their 9th championship series, and this is a group of people that have been running these tournaments for months now, and they have a lot of the best players in the entire game, a lot of big name players. They have good prizes, they have good events, and it's a lot of fun for the players that want to still play Yu-Gi-Oh! In a competitive environment right now when times are kind of weird. So in today's video, I want to talk about some of the cooler tech that I saw at the Luxury Championship Series number 9. You can see all of their social media on the bottom left hand corner of the screen right now if you want to check them out. This tournament was ran, by the way, with the new ban list and with Genesis Impact being legal, so we have a lot of really important information for the coming months of Yu-Gi-Oh! As you can tell from the top 16 breakdown, there were a variety of decks that performed pretty well at this event. We have Virtual World and Eldritch variants taking a lot of the top spots. That was to be expected. Admittedly, the Eldritch decks are all very, very different from each other, all sorts of different ratios and engines and really crazy stuff. We also saw Jesse Cotton get second place with Drytrons, and Pack also made top 16 with Drytrons, although their builds are pretty different in a lot of really interesting ways. So that deck did have a pretty good debut. It wasn't like a tier 0 strategy by any means, and that is the only new deck from Genesis Impact that managed to top this event, but it looks like it has a promising start. By far, my favorite tech choice that I saw in any of the decks was Torrential Tribute. So this is kind of weird for me because I come from a time when Torrential Tribute was a staple one of in pretty much every single deck for a very, very long time. But now it's at 3 copies per deck, and it has been for a while, and people just really have not played this card in some time. That being said, it had a pretty strong showing at this event. 4 of the topping Eldritch players ran 3 copies of Torrential Tribute. That's really, really exciting. What makes Torrential Tribute so good right now is that it's a free board wipe against decks that commit too much to the board. True King of All Calamities is one of the cards that is very popular right now, and if you have to basically skip your turn anyway, why not set Torrential Tribute and make sure you wipe the board so you don't get OTK'd. What's really cool about Torrential Tribute, and by the way, all 4 of the decks that used this card all played Red Eyes Dark Dragoon in their Eldritch deck, is that Torrential Tribute will not destroy Red Eyes Dark Dragoon because it cannot be destroyed by card effects, and it'll also not destroy an Eldritch the Golden Lord that was special summoned from the graveyard with its own ability. So because all 4 of the decks that played Torrential Tribute were playing Red Eyes Dark Dragoon and Eldritch the Golden Lord, it means not only were they able to board wipe their opponent's field, but also they got to keep some of their monsters. Overall, it is very exciting to see Torrential Tribute at the forefront of competition once again, and I think it's a pretty cool tech going forward. What's even crazier though is that of those 4 players that used an entire playset of Torrential Tribute, 3 of them also played a playset of Needle Sealing. Needle Sealing is basically a slightly more situational version of Torrential Tribute, but it does have many of the same benefits. Instead of triggering when a monster is summoned, there has to be 4 or more monsters on the field, and then it just destroys all face-up monsters. The fact that people were willing to play not only 3 copies of Torrential Tribute, but also 3 copies of Needle Sealing, sometimes even in combination with Trap Trick, really does does go to show that people are really liking these cards in the new format, so make sure if you're playing against any back row decks in the next few weeks, especially Eldritch decks, that you are playing around cards like Torrential Tribute and Needle Ceiling. They are really hot techs right now. Artifact Lancia has been rising in popularity over the last few weeks, especially with Virtual World pretty much taking over the format, and it was also very popular at this event as well. Where this card really stood out to me though was in Jesse Cotton's Drytron deck. So there are multiple ways to search this card in that deck. You have things like Cyber Angel Benton, but what made Jesse's deck so unique is that he actually main decked a full 3 copies of this card. So not only does he have ways to search it, but he can also hard draw it, and it does give him an edge in game 1 against decks like Virtual World and Eldritch. That was a very unique take on Artifact Lancia in a Drytron deck, and I expect if more and more people are playing Virtual World and Eldritch in the coming weeks, that main decked Artifact Lancia, especially in a deck that can search it, could be a really viable option. Jesse and Pack also both played Geonator Traverser, a Link 2 monster that is basically a creature swap on legs. This thing came out not too long ago in Phantom Rage, but we really have not seen it that much in competition, but both of them actually did play the 1 copy in their extra deck. Maybe not the craziest tech option that I've ever seen, but it's pretty cool that this card is seeing play. One card we saw a lot of people playing was Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion. We saw a ton of different hand traps that were anti-graveyard hand traps being played at this event, and Ghost Bell was probably one of the more popular choices for a lot of players. Ghost Bell in Haunted Mansion is a really cool card. I've talked about it a lot in the past. Ghost Bell has never been as popular as cards like Ash Blossom or Ghost Ogre, but it has been played in plenty of other formats, and right now it is very good. Pretty much every single top strategy is playing a few cards that Ghost Bell can stop, and especially against Virtual Worlds, you have tons of cards that Ghost Bell is really good against. DD Crow and Skullmeister also saw play at this event. A lot of people were using those cards in combination with each other or Ghost Bell and Haunted Mansion. There are tons of anti-graveyard hand traps in the game, and a lot of them are seeing play right now. We haven't always been in a format where all 3 of these cards are viable, but it looks like we might be headed into one where they are all valid options in pretty much any deck because of how versatile they are against the expected matchups. Only one Zodiac player topped this event. It was Paulo, who is by far one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh players in the entire game, and he played 2 copies of Zodiac Bunny Blast. What a weird tech option. So what this card does is it allows you to make Zodiac Xyz monsters without just instantly losing to your opponent's Virtual World Continuous spell, because that can just negate a Trident and pretty much ruin your entire day. So by having a Zodiac Bunny Blast underneath your Xyz summons, you can then protect yourself from that card, and now you can actually ensure that your Trident will stick around with its effect. A lot of people were playing Zodiacs at the end of last format, and I think a lot of people are looking to continue playing the deck in the new format, and I think that Bunny Blast is a really good way to do that. Virtual Worlds are everywhere. If you are playing in a tournament, you are going to play against a lot of them, so having a tech option to beat that deck is a really good idea. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I do hope you guys enjoyed it, especially if you have been playing in your remote duel tournaments or other online tournaments. I know this video probably won't appeal to as big of an audience as my usual content, but honestly, I just really miss doing metagame analysis videos, and I really do miss playing in Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments like every other week. I am still patiently waiting for in-person events to start up again, but until that happens, online tournaments are the way to go. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I'll see you later. Goodbye.